welcome. I'm Vanessa Roberts, and this is the Power of Technology series on Federal News Network. With the busy IT season really upon us now, today we're going to talk about what agencies are looking to buy now and for the future as they navigate critical technology demands within the government. Our guests are Tony Celesti. He's Executive Director and General Manager for Ingram Micro Public Sector, and Lisa Ortiz, Regional Sales Director, Dell Federal Channel and Distribution at Dell Technologies. Welcome, Tony and Lisa.
Thank you, Vanessa.
Thank you, Vanessa.
It's great to see both of you. So let's have a great conversation about this because this is always a little bit of a crazy time of year. With the end of fiscal buying season revving up, let's talk about what agencies are buying, what the trends you're seeing, in the federal government. What are the current technology demands that you're hearing from customers at agencies across government? You can go where you'd like to. Lisa, can you start us off?
Sure, Vanessa, I'd love to. So what we're seeing is the government's focused a lot around multi-cloud, edge, and security. Most government agencies are operating in at least two public clouds, some on-prem infrastructure as well as developing strategies to better run workloads, reduce costs, and optimize performance. In addition to that, we're seeing an emergence of edge workloads. Gartner said that they predict over 75% of net new data will be created by the year of 2025. So this proliferation of data at the edge is just forcing customers to deploy edge solutions, compute to support the AI/ML processing in order to reduce the amount that's transmitted over the network. So data is becoming the net new fuel, right? And how do we solve that and help our government customer with that? This is significant value in our customers' existing and new data, and we're here to help them extract that data for them.
Yeah, data, and especially the use of data at the edge, you can't go anywhere in the federal government. Somebody's talking about that. Tony, are you seeing similar priorities, or there's other things you want to share, maybe some things that you're particularly working with Dell on?
Sure, absolutely, Vanessa. Thank you. And Lisa, thank you for your opening thoughts. Before I jump into technology solution priorities that are driving innovation and modernization and digital transformation across government agencies, I'd like to comment on, the busy season, or sometimes often referred to as the buying season. And I typically like to emphasize with our teams and our partners that this is just a really busy time, and that the government buys all year long, and that participation is often linked to mission priorities and to the program business that you support. So today, a large percentage of the budget, as much as 75 to 80%, goes towards operation sustainment. So we've seen new initiatives and priorities that are driving and culminating in this large hockey stick towards the end of fiscal year closes. This is why we've seen initiatives like the Management Act and FITARA, the Federal Information Technology Acquisition Reform Act, emerge. But the priorities are all mission-driven priorities. And right now we're seeing a lot of emphasis around supply chain risk management and resilience, security, mission enablement and the customer experience, mobility, and then workforce. And along with workforce, diversity, equity, and inclusion. So from a technology solutions perspective, this is translating into hybrid cloud, data center as a service, zero trust and cybersecurity, 5G and edge computing, just as Lisa had mentioned, then big data analytics, AI, and machine learning. They're all top of mind right now.
So let's dive in a little bit into some of those. Why do you think that these are the hottest technologies right now? Maybe, Lisa, you could talk to some of the mission demands you're really seeing, both current and future. I think some of the things that Tony brought up, like 5G, like zero trust, they're both important now because there's a lot of milestone demands that are on agencies, but do you think that also the future outlook is driving some of these federal IT purchases during the busy season?
We definitely, I mean, the future is what we're focused on. As Tony said, it is all mission outcome, right? And how we solve the now, but how do we, project to the future and build the technology in advancement, right? And some of that is around all the things that Tony mentioned. The ability to extract actionable intelligence from the edge is critical, like we talked about. The more device gets added into the network, the less secure it becomes, right? So providing an effective way to manage everything is critical to the desired customer outcome. One of the other cool technologies we didn't mention was digital and virtual twin, right? Where you can simulate a twin model to have insights and enable decision-making in real time. So we have a whole work stream and a group that works around that. And I'm going to give a commercial example, but if you look at what we've done with McLaren, right, and designing and prototyping development of the race car systems to be more efficient and rapid, but it also deployed complex simulations and tools so that drivers and the team know exactly what's needed while on the racetrack and preparing for the game day. We are also doing that with some of our federal customers and have had some pretty cool outcomes there. So that technology is definitely evolving into the future. And then zero trust has been a top of mind for a while, but I don't think until COVID things really escalated. Zero trust is top of mind for everyone. So as we continue to work down these to the future, it's imperative that all these things come along and we continue to innovate down the road.
Yeah, it's interesting. There's all of the things you guys talked about. There's a lot of overlap, right? You need them in tandem happening. And I think that's why you see so much interest in them, across a lot of agencies, because you need all the things happening kind of simultaneously to get to that desired nirvana mission goal that a lot of agencies have. Let's talk about the digital virtual twin. That's a fascinating idea. And your example from McLaren made me think like there's a lot of potential uses for that in the government, especially on a lot of research and R&D that actually just happened in the federal government. And I was curious if you're seeing some of those unique things. You alluded to a couple, and your McLaren example was fascinating. Are there some other kind of examples or things you're seeing that people are doing or have the potential to do?
Absolutely, yes. We work very closely with different government agencies in the DoD, as well as even CDC. Going through COVID, there was a lot of things we did to prototype. We have a huge team, as well as working with our data scientists. We have a rather large team who are working with our customers to put together these prototypes to solve the customer's mission challenges they're trying to achieve.
Yeah, it just seems like it's just an obvious play that a lot of agencies would want to try.
Yeah. I mean, for years, when we look at this, the DoD has been trying to tackle these problems, and from the sensor to the shooter, and then archiving and information dominance, and that decision support tree, and shrinking the cycle times in how quickly government can make informed decisions is critical to mission delivery. And so, we're seeing that all the time. And so Dell is a thought leader in the space and is driving a lot of technological innovation there.
Yeah, it's actually really super fascinating, I think. Well, Tony, let's switch a little bit. You talked about that hockey stick, right? But, there's been this continuing use of continuing resolutions, and it's almost becoming like a standard budgeting practice the last couple of years. How is that affecting year-end buying? I mean, it feels like fiscal 2022 just kicked off in some ways. Are agencies feeling pinched in, both getting and implementing the latest technologies?
Vanessa, you're spot on. The industry, for the most part, has come to expect continuing resolutions. CR is part of the budgeting process now. They've all learned, how to navigate it. We see other patterns too that, are frequently repeated, but I guess really what I'm trying to say is aren't as frequently repeated, like when an administration changes and priorities cause shift in the budgeting process. So in the industry, we often, as we both now alluded to, refer to this as the hockey stick. And this condition, has been sort of disrupted now by the ecosystem and the supply chain growing to expect it. However, this can really take a toll on small business participation, as it's hard to run a business this way. You need financial resources to ride out the delay. This is an area where Ingram Micro and our financial solutions team can assist organizations. We provide them the credit and the flooring for our partners, and other financial solutions, including mentoring and operations guidance to help them, weather these challenges. And then you're spot on too with the 2022 budget. It's been quite different. The government workforce lost acquisitions talent post the pandemic in, I think what we all referred to as maybe the great retirement, right? But there's also been a shift to more hybrid and telework, and that's a factor. And then a new administration with new priorities. So the federal spending bill wasn't passed until March 10th this year. So it takes about 90 days from there for those monies to start flowing to agencies. So their allocations now, we're already at late June, early July. And so, yes, I would say agencies right now are feeling the pressure. They're struggling with supply chain delays created by the pandemic. The pandemic and the rapid policy changes around telework and remote work drove exponential increases in client and mobility devices. And then that's resulted in network bandwidth and security challenges as the attack surface has grown and the ring-fenced operations were no longer viable. So we're seeing them take steps now to have multiple sources for solutions. The CHIPS Act was recently passed to bring more semiconductor manufacturing back to the U.S. Buy America Act is being emphasized. And we're seeing much more to assist in that way. And then 5G, zero trust, security, and hybrid cloud are priorities as a result of all of this. And we're teaming with an industry leader in Dell who's focused on innovating and building compliance solutions for all of these areas.
Yeah, I mean, the hockey stick's not just up and to the right. It's like trying to come back on them almost, right?
Absolutely.
Well, let's take a quick break. We'll be right back with Ingram Micro's Tony Celesti and Dell's Lisa Ortiz. This is Federal News Network, and I'm Vanessa Roberts.